What's up, guys and gals? I'm your host Mike Pugh of the FPC Virtual Channel, and you're tuning in to an awesome series out here on Blender. Blender 2.80 beta is the version that I'm using, which is the latest version. It's not in its full release, so what I'm going to be doing, I'm just going to be showcasing a little bit of the details as to what I'm able to do currently using the MakeHuman Community add-on for Blender 2.8 beta. This actual character I created yesterday, and to me this is pretty profound what you can do, and this is using the EEVEE render engine. So y'all folks are seeing some serious photorealism. This is mind-blowing to me what you can do. Now, in order to get this, I'm going to show y'all folks where I started out from scratch. So stay tuned, and if y'all folks want to get to this point to be able to do it with your own characters that you created from MakeHuman's Community add-on, you can definitely get it done as well. So let's get it. Alright, so before we do anything, make sure you check in that video that I did showcasing how to get the add-on for the MakeHuman Community tool. If you did not get that actual add-on yet and you don't know how to do it, you're brand new, say you're brand new to Blender and you want to get this thing started just to test it out, try it out, you can check in the upper right corner at this moment in time to get to that video. For those who have been tuning into my series, you most definitely can follow on to this one. So let me just adjust the lamp real quick just so I can get a little bit better lighting source going on. So what I did so far, this is actually I'm playing with motion capture because I'm trying to get a motion capture thing going on at this moment. But right now I'm not going to do that 100%. I'm not doing the motion capture stuff, so I might as well just turn that off. So I'll do that real quick. Let me just send that to the back so you don't get confused and hide it. So that's that, and I also don't need the camera, so I'm gonna hide the camera, and I'm also gonna hide the bones. So you can do those kind of things, and you can work on other things as you see fit. I'm also gonna turn off the relationship lines, so let's go to overlays and get rid of the relationship lines so you don't see any of that stuff and it's not confusing to you. So what we're gonna do now is get this lamp to match a little bit better consistency as to the texture. So we're gonna move the lamp a little bit in, that way I can get a better look. So I'm gonna keep moving it in a little bit, moving it in, and as you can see the lamp is getting closer as the eyes will start to be affected, the face, the eyes, stuff like that. So now I'm moving the lamp, as you can see. So where you choose to put the lamp will determine the shadow, right? So let's leave it right about there. So this is where the lamp is with respect to the character. So I'm using EEVEE, like I said. So I'm going to gear y'all folks in to get to this point to be able to really get some photorealistic looks even in EEVEE. So let's go switch to cycles just for shits and giggles, just so y'all folks can see how it looks in differential and cycles. And I also have a cycles lamp, which I talked about in my live stream yesterday, which basically will show you the differential between EEVEE and cycles. So I have a duplicate lamp. Now this particular lamp is positioned in a different place, which is right here. So you might want to readjust the lamp positioning as well, so you can get the best look that you're looking for. For some reason the lamp is not moving fast, but it won't move as fast as it does in EEVEE because it's not a real-time render engine. So keep that in mind. Hold on, let me Control Z to go back. Made a little error there. So yeah, your lamp won't move as fast for sure. So I think this is a good position. I'm not going to really play too much on the lamp with that one. A lot different position will give you a different result, obviously. Let me see if I match the lamps together. Let's turn on this lamp, see where that one is, and see the distance between each other. Let's hit that lamp, use the shift key and the S key, and then that will snap it to where I want to snap it to. Or you can go up here and go I believe object and look for snap. If you can find it, it's right here, snap, and then cursor to selected. So I'm sending the cursor basically to the lamp position right here. Hold on, let me do Control Z and back that up and see if I did a little error. Nope, I did it right. The lamp, it shouldn't have been down there, it was up. So let me do Control Z again. Alright, I made an error. So we'll do Shift S, cursor to selected. I don't know why I put the selection to the cursor. There we go. So cursor to selected, and the reason why I'm doing that is to match this lamp to this lamp. So we go back to the other lamp and do Shift S again, and then do selection to cursor. Now both lamps is in the same position. Now you see the lighting source doesn't provide enough light. The reason being is because when you're in EEVEE, when you switch to EEVEE, the EEVEE lamp is different. I just made, like I said, duplicate lamps, so the EEVEE lamp will be much more powerful because EEVEE's render engine is more powerful in terms of real-time rendering. So your positioning of your lamps may have to be different. Like I stated before, and I suggested, you probably would want to shift them in different positions. I gave that tip in terms of duplicating the lamps, but I did not talk about the distance and where you should place the lamps, as opposed one lamp as opposed to another lamp. So now this is the cycles lamp here, and as you see, cycles lamp is not providing enough light source for EEVEE. So I'm going to switch back to cycles, and I'm going to move that lamp back to where it was. So we're just going to click it, make sure the EEVEE lamp is deactivated by hitting this little tiny eye in the collections area / the outliner. So we're going to move it back over here closer to the source of the character, which takes some work because you have to try to get it as close as you can get it without it affecting too much of the character. So you also can change the power of the lamp if you wanted to do that as well. So now it's a little bit too close because now you got a really dark shadow over there. So we will move it a little bit away from the face and to the left slightly, and that's not too bad. That's a pretty good lighting. Let's just drag it back a little bit more just to get a little bit more potency. See, so this is just that lighting side of the render issues that you're gonna have to deal with. But look at the photorealism here with cycles. So cycles does give you a really powerful photorealistic effect. All this is based on your shading. So I had to go into the node editor and play around with that, all those differing settings. So I'm going to do that at the tail end of this video so y'all folks can get to understand how the shaders work, because the shaders make a big difference. When you're using the MakeHuman Community software, you want to go into your shade editor, and in order to get to the shade editor you have to go and change your differing menu options here. So we're going to do that, but I'm going to do that after I show y'all folks how to go from the bare bone MakeHuman character that starts out from scratch. After you merge it from the MakeHuman Community software, I'm going to show y'all folks that. So let's get into that session right now. Alright guys, I decided to, or guys and gals I should say, I decided to show y'all folks the full process, the entire process, which basically starting out with MakeHuman Community. So if y'all folks never got the tool, this should help you to gear in and start to work on it, because it may not be too fair to those who are brand new, who have no idea how to do it. So get the MakeHuman Community tool, and then just jump in, and you can go in and you can do this kind of thing. Play around with the sliders, as you can see. Let me throw in some clothes because some people may not like the fact that the character is nude to some degree. So we'll just throw in a suit. We'll give a feminine suit and we'll make a female. Let's do that real quick just to start out. So we'll go to extreme left to make it a female. Give her a certain age, maybe a little younger or whatever, or older, I don't know. Depends on what you choose. It's up to you. We'll go right here. Maybe she's a teen or whatever. We're gonna go in and throw in some good height on her, and let's make her slightly Asian, slightly Caucasian, and slightly African. Give a mix. Alright? And then all this stuff is basically what you choose. It's up to you how you want to do it. Now we'll go and throw some clothes on her. We don't have to worry about the size of her boobs and all that. Whatever, just give her some boob size so you can see that she's a female. So all on you how you want that to turn out. Boom. So you can tell she's a female. Let's see. Navigation is really simple. You just use your mouse to scroll back and forth with the left click mouse button, and depress the mouse scroll wheel to pan. It's very simple. Let's go to face, try to mess with the facial features. Now all this stuff I'm not going to do. I'm going to bypass it by going to random. When you go to random, you can choose to make a random character, facial features, etc. And what it's doing is it's producing a male character, which is not what I wanted. I wanted a female character. But it's okay. Oh, that one was really good. I should have left it there. So we're just going to keep going. Click the random button multiple times until we get something that looks like a female. And we'll stop at that point and probably just start using that one. The head shapes is really weird. I don't like these head shapes, but we can change the head shape as we see fit once we get into it. Maybe we want to take off that macro option, so we just deselect the macro option and see what it does with the facial shape. Also, we want to go with the symmetry right here, which I talked about in my previous session, my live stream session, so it can come up symmetrical. And I don't know why it keeps looking like men, but that's not what we want. Very weird looking faces. So this is not turning out to be what I wanted it to actually do, and it's all good though. We're gonna go with something eventually. I want these elongated heads. I don't know why the heads are so elongated. Okay, come on. Let's restore the default. I don't know if that does anything. I never did that before. Oh, that changes the settings there. So let's just go with the face. Still doing the same thing. Let's just select everything else and see if it adjusts the face. Okay, so yeah, it's now sticking to the same face size. So now let's deselect everything and then go for the face. Move the symmetry bar all the way over, so that's what we should have had. I forgot about that. It's really giving me some weird stuff. This shouldn't have taken as long as it did. I should have just stuck with what I started with and got a really good cool looking shape. Let's go with this one. I don't know. Let's see if we can turn this character into a female. This is somewhat okay. So we're gonna go over to custom. I already have custom targets. I'll show y'all folks in another video how to do the custom targets. So what we're gonna do is try to tunify, make our eyes really big, and anime style. And the anime style pertains more to the body than anything, and the tunify is the head mostly. So that looks weird. Back it up a little bit. I'm not sure if this is a female or not. Let's go with the materials for the skin. This is basically how I do my customized characters. So let's go with a young African female. There we go. How's that skin? Young Asian female. How's that? There's different ones that you can choose. Just play around. Young Caucasian female. Then this one is okay, but I don't like the eyelashes and stuff like that. This might be a decent character, and then maybe we can go and change the hair. So let's go play with the hair. Throw her some hair. Give her an afro. I'm just playing. Let's see. So we give her like some long hair or something like that. Well, that hair does not look good. How about ponytail? Hair with ponytail. Yeah, that one's not too bad. So here goes the character. She's somewhat decent looking. Not too bad. We can play with the mouth and the nose and all that stuff. Go back to modeling, go to face, go to nose size, and we can adjust how we see fit. I made her nose a little bit bigger, as you can see, and then I'm gonna go and scale it out in width. Now she's coming along, starting to look more realistic. We're gonna go with the eyes, so switch the geometries, go with the eye. We don't need eyebrows, we don't need eyelashes. If you put on eyelashes, it may make a little error. You may have some issues with eyelashes over on Blender. It may take you some time to get that to work. Let's go with the eyes, make sure it's high poly, get in a tongue, get some teeth in there, and let's see, what else do we want in there? Topology. You can change the topology. That's gonna basically change the texture and how it looks to some degree. If you go with higher and higher topology, it may affect your 3D software that you're using for the character. Oh, I forgot to go with shoes and stuff, but it's up to what you choose to want to have for your character. If I go with none, it's basically going to be I think the highest level topology. This is lower level, only 1605 polygons, or vertices slash 1584 faces. All this stuff makes a difference when you go into, like I said, different 3D software. And so this is the lowest poly that you can get. This is more like for video games. And this is probably the best for trying to get renders to make it look really, really high quality. You'll see the difference in the neck here. Doesn't seem like it's changing much of the physical features, just the eyes and the neck. So I'll just leave it at none. We don't have to play with that too much. Then other than that, I think we did everything. Tongue, eyelashes, eyebrows. We already got eyebrows in there. We got the hair. So now we can move over to materials. And what else do we want with materials? Pretty much we got everything in there that we need. Pose, with the pose, starting out with skeleton. If you want to get a skeleton in there to pretty much work on the character model itself, like as a animation type stuff, you want to set it to default. Using the MakeHuman Community tool software, the default works the best. If you're just doing a game engine type of thing, you want to go with the lowest bone count you can. You use game engine and then you get 53 bones. If you go with default, it's 163 bones because you get all the facial bones to be rigged in. That's more for like facial mocap stuff. If you know how to use motion capture software and you can implement it, or you want to learn it, you should be able to apply it to your face rig. And all that stuff is somewhat advanced, so it takes some learning, deep learning, to understand it, get into it. Some facial mocaps may work better than other things. I haven't really worked on that much with that. I just learned recently how to use the motion capture tools on Blender through recording of a video. So I'm not too much into that. Now poses, I recommend you to use the none pose or the T pose, depending on your 3D software and what you want your character to look like. I forgot the shoes, so let's go and get the shoes in there. We're definitely not going to use combat boots, and I believe we have some shoes for the ladies here hiding somewhere. So yeah, I got high heels. So there we go with that. She's gonna have some high heels. I don't know how she's gonna be standing on it, but it looks like flats the way it is set up now. And with a pose, actually I'm gonna give her a good pose because all I'm doing is actually going for working on her look, her facial look. With the way that it looks here, I'm going to fix the bones so that the hands will fit in the right position. So I can go with that pose, or I can make it an easier one so I don't have to play with the bones. So I can use like this kind of pose where she's laying down and it's not that bad of a fix for the bones. So you know, this is the kind of stuff you can do. You can also like pose the character laying down doing this kind of stuff. You can do standing poses where it looks like they're modeling clothes or something like that. This is not a bad one either, but with the suit, the way it's set up, you have to adjust the hand, as you can see. So all that you're gonna have to do on Blender, you know, in order to get it to work, to make it look good. Also, you can go into expressions and you can give the character different facial features. So that's up to you, how you choose which type of expression you want to give the character. If you're just doing, you know, like a rendering out to Instagram or something, then these work well. If you're trying to set up your character for other game systems, tools, software, I don't recommend for you to use these, because these are more for, you know, just trying to get your character to get a certain pose, to make a, like maybe a 2D image capture after you render it. You can render it on Photoshop and then do like mock-ups and stuff like that for products or for clients. If you have clients and you're trying to mock up some sort of a character look, or like a poster, trying to create posters or any kind of assets on websites that are requiring you to have like a female character to show and display, stuff like that. I never did anything like that, but I know I can work on that kind of level. because of what I've been doing with Blender so far. In Blender, you can actually, if you're into TV, doing that kind of marketing, working for a television program or company, you can actually use Blender to do a lot of that type of stuff. I watched a video recently about it. So she has some pretty decent smiles, but I don't want the extreme smiles. So just a smirk like that would be good. And let's see this one. No, that one, I don't like that one. And oh, let me go back and work on her lips a little bit, because the lips don't look that perky to me, and I like perky lips. So actually, let's go back to modeling, go to her face, and then go to mouth. So with the mouth, you can play with the mouth size. You should just move in the mouth. That will work if you want like a smile to be a certain way. Maybe a little smirk to the right or left. That's moving horizontally. You can scale it. There you go. So now it's a little more perky, and we can scale it horizontally. Yeah, I like it. I like it like that. She looks a lot better like that. And then we can go with mouth size details as well. And we can go with lower lip a little bit bigger if we want. Scale the upper lip out. Give her really nice perky lips. And that's about it. I really don't need much else. So now the character is ready to move over to Blender. So you got to go to Community, go to Socket, hit Accept Connections, and then it won't do anything until you go into Blender. On the download assets side, I talked about that. You can click the synchronize after you go to Blender and you add the character, and it will try to synchronize together once the socket is made connection, and you'll be able to get the downloaded assets. And all you got to do that is one time. So you do that once, and then all you have to do whenever you come back onto MakeHuman Community, you just click Update List, and you should be able to get any of your assets that you want. And then over here you have to change the asset type. Now the reason why it's not looking that great is because I changed the UI to white, and this is white text. So it actually says pose, close, target, etc. So you say that you wanted to get some targets, you go in there, select the one you want, and then click Update List. Then you can go in and you can start checking for different targets. And some of these targets are just straight outright raw, so just be careful which ones you select if you're doing like tutorials like this. And so you can go in and basically choose any type of target that you want. Targets basically allow you to adjust the sizing of a character. Let's go into view and see if we got anything in there. This one would be like a Frankenstein head, so if you wanted to get the sizing of the head to shape like that, you can use that one. Let's hide the details, cat girl ears, etc. So that's basically how the targets work. Once you add it by clicking download, right here there's a download button, it will go into the modeling custom area and will show up here as targets. The older way to do it though was you would have to go to the MakeHuman folder on your actual hard drive that was downloaded from the system itself once you added the MakeHuman tool as a download on your computer, as a software on your computer, and you would actually have to find that folder and open it up and go into its archives and open up the folder for the targets and then add the target manually. But now the new tool for MakeHuman Community, the new version that they have, the I think it's 1.20 alpha something, I forgot the exact version, but this newer version you're able to do some amazing stuff. So like I said, let's switch over to Blender, and we're gonna open up a brand new Blender. This is my previous character set up through EEVEE, and we're trying to gear her to look like this. So you'll see that it's not going to look that great starting out, trust me. Now this character still isn't looking too great because I changed the lighting. Let me just show you real quick. I moved the light. So wherever you move the light, it will determine if that render is going to look better or not. So, and the light is not even allowing me to move it too much. I'm trying to move it. Why was it not allowing me to move it? I don't know. Now I just moved it a little bit, and now you can see that will render a little bit better in terms of the texture. Yeah, it's giving me some issues, like it's slowing down. It might crash, I don't know. Sometimes Blender 2.8 crashes. So here goes another version I threw up. The same Blender 2.8, but this is the newer version, the most latest one that I could download. Now I have the MakeHuman Community add-on here. All I gotta do is go in and then import human. So what I want to do is change the size for Blender unit sizes, set it at decimeter. If you go over to the MakeHuman Community tool, when you go and try to export, you can notice that it will have also a scale units over here that says decimeter, meter, inch, or centimeter. Now with Blender units, it only sends up to meter, decimeter, and centimeter, I believe. So just leave it set for decimeter and it should scale out with no problem. Even though you're not exporting, it's still gonna send it to Blender. So now Blender is somewhat freezing somehow. I don't know why. I didn't even try to click add-on, it just trying to pop up. So there we go. Alright, so we're here, and all we got to do is click import human, and it comes in at the decimeter size, which is a pretty large size compared to the meter size. And here she is, she's in there, decked out, got her high heels set up and everything. What we're gonna do is scale her up a little bit and try to rotate her with respect to the heels, the high heels, because it's outfitted for high heels. So just giving her that kind of a bend, even though it's not really the way it's supposed to be. Maybe I can bend her feet, bend this part of her feet. Let's try that. So actually we're not going to worry too much about that, because what I wanted to do is to show y'all folks the rendering capabilities and stuff like that. So this is how the character comes in. When your character comes in, if it looks like this, you don't get into a panic. You can work everything out. So we're in the EEVEE render engine right now. So say you wanted to render it out. You go up here in your shading options and you choose render or rendered, and then it goes in and tries to render it. So this is the EEVEE real-time render, but you have the bones in the way, so you can't really see what you want to see. So what you do, when the bones are highlighted, you can hit the H key and it will hide it. If the bones are not highlighted, select the bones and then it will hide it. And there you go. See that? She got that nice funny smirk. Her mouth is a little bit to the side. I gave all those, obviously I gave all of those looks and appeals. So now you're going to notice that the lighting is really high when you first start out. And by default, EEVEE is set up kind of like that, unless your settings was set a different way. It may actually be very lit, well lit. So you're gonna have to adjust those settings. And also, like I said about the light, right now I only have one lamp, so you probably want to duplicate the lamp. So where is the lamp, by the way? My lamp is all the way down there, because the character comes in as a larger scale, larger size. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit the A key, select all, and then I'm gonna deselect what I don't want to scale down. So I'm gonna scale her down to the size of the camera and the lamp. So what I gotta do is use the shift key, shut off the camera object, which is basically a shape that I use in the shape of a camera to represent the actual virtual camera. And let me hide that virtual camera right there, it just disappeared. And I'm gonna click the lamp. So now all of these are selected, and her bones we have to select as well, even though they're hidden. Make sure you have the bones selected. We'll scale it first, then we'll hide the bones. So we're gonna scale it down, hit the S key, and then move to the left our mouse so we can scale her down. And there we go with that. And now we're gonna use the move tool and move her down, like so. So now she's within a good respective size. I'm gonna move her down a little bit more towards the ground plane, which is down here where you see the XY coordinate plane. And then that should be good. We will start working on the lighting and stuff like that very soon. I just want to gear y'all into understand about the sizing because of how MakeHuman Community brings in your character. So we're gonna hide the bones now, but we have to deselect everything by selecting anything on the screen other than the character, and then just singly select the bones by clicking on the bones. You can also select over here the bones if you know where the armature is or whatever. And now we're gonna hide it. So there we go. Hit the H key, it's hidden. Now one thing you're gonna notice is that the hair doesn't look that good. It looks like it has some weird scrappy stuff on it. So if you want to fix that, you select the hair itself and then you go into the shading option here and then hit backface culling. When you do that, it gets rid of all of those issues. You're also going to notice that it's see-through somehow and rendering straight through. Also, the outfit may have an issue when you use the backface culling. See that? So some of those issues you're going to tend to have, but if you're not really worried too much about that part, because you can switch, let's switch over to cycles and you'll see the outfit won't have that issue, the hair won't have that issue. See that? So if you're not worried too much about all that, you can swap back and forth between cycles and EEVEE. EEVEE is more like to set it up at first, and then you can swap back to cycles. You can see the difference. Now see how the lighting is so dim? Like how I suggested, you want to change that lamp to a duplicate lamp and then adjust the duplicate. So we'll go to the lamp, we'll do that right now. Go to the lamp settings, and actually we're going to make the duplicate by using the shift key and hitting the D key, and that creates the duplicate lamp. So let me just make sure. Alright, yeah, so the duplicate lamp is created and it's going to say lamp 001. What I recommend for you to do is just name them. So we're going to call this lamp cycles, left click somewhere else, and then call this one lamp EEVEE, like that. So with the cycles one, let's shut off the EEVEE lamp since we're in cycles, and what we're gonna do with this lamp is we're gonna move it over towards her, and we're gonna change it from sun to point light. And then what we're gonna do with the point light, we're going to use nodes and just increase the strength or something like that, so you can play with it so you can get a different lighting setup. Now it's not too close to the face, so you have to move it closer and closer to the face so you can gear in the light to look a little bit better, closer to the source of the character. And there you go. So now it's very close. And if it's too bright, just drop the strength. So drop the strength all the way down to where you feel that the lighting is acceptable. Okay. So you're gonna notice you have some slight imperfections and things like that on her face. things may not look exactly the way you want it to look starting out. So those kind of things, I believe you can work that out as well. All of these different slight imperfections, I was able to work that out, so you should be able to work it out. You can click on the head or the face and then go into object and then try to smooth it. Go to smooth, and that may help. Another way you can do it is go to edit mode, and that shouldn't have happened, but it does happen, and I think that's due to the hair. Some weird stuff happening with the hair. We're going to select all, and then we're going to go to smooth and try to smooth it down, and it broke, so I lost all of that progress. Now that's going to happen with your Blender. Sometimes it's going to crash like that. If that happens, what I recommend for y'all folks to do is to save in between your sessions, because Blender 2.8 beta is obviously in a testing phase, so you're gonna have those issues. So I'm gonna try to get back to all that stuff as fast as possible. So just gonna do import human. She's gonna come out in a meter size. It's gonna be smaller. So let me just scale her up, starting out, and then move her up. Let's do Control Z to bring that back where she was selected, and then move her up. Okay, so now she's not in a bad position. Take the lamp, move it over. Actually, Control Z, leave that lamp there. Shift D to duplicate. Move this light over to her, so it can be the one that I just did. And I'm going to change that to point. Right now it's set at 20 energy, which is good. We're going to switch over to cycles and see what she got. We're going to drop it. We're going to turn this lamp off and call this one cycles. EEVEE. This one's going to be the cycles lamp. Shut off the EEVEE lamp. In Look Dev, you don't have to do too much adjusting with the lamps, and you can still see somewhat decent look. Alright. Now she doesn't have all those imperfections on her face. Let's try the back face culling. Take out the bones. Okay. Alright, so let's switch over to EEVEE like where we were at. Switch the lamp over. Go over to the rendered shading and actually pop over to cycles. That's where we were at, my bad. So turn on the cycles lamp, turn off the EEVEE lamp, and we're gonna adjust this lamp here. It's a little too close to her face. Back that up. And that's not bad right there. Pretty good. Yeah, she's looking good. I guess the crash worked out in terms of the texture, because for some reason the texture was really not looking too good. Alright, so talking about that, let's get into trying to work on her textures. We're gonna pop back and forth between EEVEE and cycles. So let's go to EEVEE. See the cycles lamp's too bright, so we have to switch to the EEVEE lamp, and that's pretty good. Let's go to back it out, hit the EEVEE lamp and adjust that. We want to adjust it down just a little bit, like that, and that should be good. and then we're gonna do all of our texture adjustments on EEVEE. So we're gonna click her face, and we're gonna go and we're gonna look for her shader. So you got to go here for your toolbar down here at the bottom. This toolbar is for the timeline. You're gonna click that little option there to open up the menu. You're gonna go to shader editor, and now it switches to shader editor. It's no longer the timeline. Timeline is basically a tool for animation. And now what you're going to notice is you have a whole lot of different tools to play with her textures. Now this particular character has differing nodes compared to my character over here, which is this character. I don't know why, but they have two different node setups. So with his node setup, I got some really great textures for his face, but it's all good. I still can pull it off. I think I'm gonna be able to pull off what I did here, the same thing. That this one doesn't have a glossy shader. It has a principled shader, principled DF, and a transparent BSDF going into a mixed shader. And then the actual texture for her skin, which is just a UV map graphic. So it's a diffuse map graphic that overlays on top of the UV maps and all that stuff. That is gonna go into the principled BSDF in the base color node here. So it's already tied in. All this is tied in. You don't have to worry about tying them in. And you got the alpha going into the FAC of the mixed shader. What that does is basically it blends a transparency, alpha transparency, and the output of the principled shader going in through here. So let me just deconnect the transparent so you can see what it does. It really didn't do too much. I believe what it's doing is providing alpha transparency for anything that may have an alpha texture in it, or a transparent texture built into it. So any of the maps that have alpha transparency built into it will be affected, but I don't think this is required. As you see, when I pull it off, it doesn't really have an effective change on the texture. And then the mixed shader output is going to go to the material output node. If you pull it off, you're going to lose the material texture. You're not going to have any texture at all. See, it turns black. So you need that to be connected, and pretty much that's that. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to manipulate the BSDF principled shader by going into different things and changing things. So say like I wanted to change the metallic, I can go here with my left click mouse button and change, and it will change her material texture to make it more metallic. So we can play with that to some degree to get a different feel in the texture. One of the things that I noticed on it is roughness makes a big deal, makes a big difference. So you can get like more of a plastic kind of look if you bring down the roughness a great deal, and it becomes glossy and shiny. See, so that even in EEVEE, in the EEVEE render engine, it will bring out much more higher level depth and texture feel for the actual skin. So there you go with that. I just wanted to show y'all folks that part is really powerful what you can do. And then you have anisotropic and anisotropic rotation. I really don't get much out of this by playing with this adjustment, so you could leave that alone. Activating or deactivating it, it doesn't really do that much to it. I believe you would have to adjust other things to get that to work. Now the clear coat, this is a powerful tool as well. It's going to give you more of a glossy look, even if the roughness is changed to some degree. So say the roughness is set there and you adjust this, you should be able to adjust the gloss look. The clear coat should adjust the gloss look here. But I think the reason why it's not working is because my metallic was adjusted drastically. Not really too sure on that part. So let's bring the roughness all the way down and then see what the clear coat does. So right now it's not really doing much, but you want to play with them to see what you can do. Play with those different adjustments and you'll get to see, you know, different stuff happen with the texture just by sliding these sliders back and forth with your left click mouse button. But you got to click in here and slide them to get them to adjust. But yeah, that's basically all it took me to change the photorealistic effect. You can play with the specular tint, but the specular doesn't really do that much. It's more like a glow under the neck. See that? And then you can change the tint, but it's not really doing much at all. So if you want like a little subtle glow under there, go for that. I don't really care for it too much. I'll make it really subtle, and it just gives a little bit more texture. So once you're done, you can select the overlays and cut that out. Now that you have this really decent textured look, now you want to switch to your cycles render. So you go up here to this option for render, switch it from EEVEE to cycles, and you'll see a big difference in cycles, how it looks. So what we're going to do with this cycles, we have to swap the lamps, and bam, now you got a really powerful look for your cycles render. If it's way too glossy, like I said, you can play around with this stuff, adjust how you see fit. And mess with the roughness a little bit. That way it's not too intense. And if you want a better render, you want to go to your viewport render, because right now we're rendering in the viewport. I'm going to bring this all the way down because I like the actual look that it is right now. We're going to adjust the viewport here and set this at 500. And you'll see that all these little pixelated areas are going to go away, but it will take a lot longer. That's the reason why EEVEE is a little bit better in terms of rendering, to check to see what you're doing and for setting up the lighting and all the different adjustments that you want to make before you go to cycles. As long as you have duplicate lamps, you should be able to work it really well. So like I said, right now I'm in my cycles lamp, and now I'm moving up to 500. Now what's powerful about it is that you can, for a Blender 2.8 beta, you can adjust from where you're at in terms of your sample rate. So we're doing path tracing samples through cycles. So when you adjust, as long as you don't move anything in your background or in your viewport, you can adjust. And I'll show y'all folks a trick to get a really awesome looking viewport render after we go to like 1,000. Let's go up to 1,000 and I'll show you after that. And you'll see all these little speckles of white dots will go away once we hit around 1,000. So what we're gonna do now, actually let's save it. So you can save in between, that's not gonna cause any problems. It may re-render, I believe. So we're gonna call her, actually we did not create a folder for her, so I'm gonna put her in the pretty or she folder. I already got she there. Let's put her in pretty because she does look kind of pretty. We're gonna put her and set her as a pretty 2 dot blend because I already got other versions. And save it. Yeah, it's gonna re-render, which is all good. But yeah, all those speckles are gonna be gone. Let me show y'all folks the trick. Actually, I'll do it now because it won't affect the render. You can hit the N key to make this go away, hit the T key to make that go away, and if you want a little bit more better quality on your render, you want to go to this world icon, and that's going to allow you to darken or brighten the viewport. So you can go here to the color and then drop it down just to give it a little bit more pop. And you can also eventually change to HDRI backgrounds and stuff like that, and that will give you a little bit more effect of lighting as well. You can get HDRI lighting types scenarios set up. You can do a lot of different stuff with this new version of Blender 2.8 beta. Now, you was also able to change HDRI lights in the past with the previous versions of Blender, but the differential with it to me is that this one works a lot more faster and with higher level HDRIs, I believe. So I get my HDRIs from hdrihaven.com. I recommend for y'all folks to try it out. The actual guy who does the HDRIs on it, he provides some really awesome high quality HDRIs, and for free, 100% free. So he just asked for credit, if you can give him credit to his actual website, and then you can take your renders and you can upload it to his website as well, and that will be looked at by him, and he can choose to select it and then promote it on his site to show folks, you know, what people are using and how powerful it actually turned out to look like in terms of the render. So now we're going up to 1,000. There we go, we're at 1,000. I'm gonna store my video just in case if my computer freezes or crashes or whatever, because this is a really high quality look and I don't want to lose this session. So I'll be right back. Alright, so one last part. What you can do up here is you can right click, and it shouldn't have done that. I just right clicked it and it disappeared. You right click and then an option should come up, and it did it automatically. I don't know why it's doing that. My mouse is probably screwed up. It's toggling it automatically. It should give you the option. Alright, there we go. So you get an option to toggle header, flip to the bottom, or collapse. You can flip to the bottom if you wanted to do that, or you can flip to the top. This is just the toolbar for your viewport and all the objects in your viewport, how to navigate with viewing, select, add new objects or whatever, new differing items in your 3D viewport for Blender, or how to manipulate the objects. And then you have different other options, overlays and stuff like that, shading, etc. So if you wanted to toggle it, you can do that. You can also get rid of this render done thing. So let me click this little tick mark here that brings it back. Go to overlays, and you go to this overlay drop menu. You can click the overlays there to hide everything or unhide everything, and click it again to hide it, whatever. And in there you can choose to get rid of the text info. When you do that, it gets rid of that. And the reason why we're doing this is because we can use this viewport render as an actual fully loaded render, even if it's in cycles. With cycles, you'll have to hit the print screen at this moment. So I'm going to do that and then take it over to Photoshop, or take it over to any of your image editing tools. I like to use MS Paint for most of my stuff because it's pretty fast. And here goes another render that I was doing and showing folks. This is in Cycles, I believe, a Cycles photorealistic render. So it is possible to get photorealism even in Cycles, but you have to know how to play with the nodes. You don't have to create all the node setups. You just have to understand what the node setups do to some degree in terms of what node you can go to adjust the sliders that are provided by the differing software that are automating these 3D avatars and characters, 3D humanoids, whatever, models. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to go paste, and I'm going to go in, this is MS Paint, by the way, and I'm going to save it and store it like that. I'll go to this 100%, drop it down, and so that way I can see the full thing that I want to save. And I'll save 2 different versions. So I'm gonna save her as pretty. She's gonna just be a different version of pretty. So we'll just type in pretty. So this is pretty 3, the last version. So I'm gonna go pretty 4, and then I'm gonna crop this one down to size. To crop it, you can drag the corner and then just, you know, try to crop out what you don't want by sliding these little hair tick mark little things, and then drag where you want it to remove. And there you go. So this could be like something for Instagram that I can post so folks can see my latest render and 3D model. So we'll go and save this as pretty 5. See, I decided to show you folks the full development process of every little detail that I have to do in order to get out my renders to make them look, you know, a certain way and appeal a certain way and stuff like that. So now this is what you got. Like I said, it is pretty powerful how it will look, how it would be sensed and felt. Now folks, I forgot to show y'all something real quick. Let me try the viewport render again. With cycles, you can't do an actual viewport render through this view option. View option gives you the ability to go to viewport render here. When you click it, it should be able to render what you have in your viewport. Now you can't do it with cycles. Let's see, if we change this to this render setting, look dev, it may be able to do it. Let's see. And we have to look down here to bring it up. And yeah, so it will show you the viewport render for cycles in the look dev. But if you switch it over to rendered, it won't give it to you. So we go to view, go to viewport render, and go back. You'll see it's blank. Now it will work with EEVEE, so we're going to switch to EEVEE, and we're going to make sure we knock out that cycles light, put on the EEVEE light, and I'll show you that this one works. So let's rotate it a little bit. Fix the texture. To fix the texture, if your EEVEE is failing with textures, like I showed in the past, you go to texture material icon after you click the texture, and you use nodes and then use it again, and it brings it back in. And pretty much let's just rotate it at a good position. So we wanted to get that shot right there, or this shot, whatever shot, doesn't matter. This is a good position here, not too bad. Maybe a little too dark on this side, so you could change the lighting. Go to view, go to viewport render, and now you'll see it gives you a solid viewport render. And then you can take this and you can store it if you want by going over to, I believe, image, and then you go to save as. So that's a quicker way than using print screen and going to your dedicated photo editing software like Photoshop or whatever, like I used MS Paint, etc. So we'll cancel that, we can X that out, and that's pretty much it. So what you would do now that you're done with that, you can move, if you want to move the background, change your pose, get a different pose, you know, stuff like that, how you see fit, change angles, degrees, lighting, positions, stuff like that. The actual shadows is not really that great over here on this edge, so you can also play with the shadows. With EEVEE, you can play with the shadows. Right now we're rendering in cycles, so I did figure out how to adjust the cycles shadows, but I'm not really 100% sure where at this moment in time because I haven't been playing with it lately. So you may be able to figure it out yourself, find where to go. With EEVEE, it's in the render option here. So let me switch off that cycles lamp and put the EEVEE lamp back on, and is still a little too bright. Sometimes you're going to lose texture in terms of what EEVEE is projecting. So if you have that issue, you want to go to that texture that has the issue, use nodes, and then pop it back in. So there you go with that. I'm just going to render her face to some degree as a render test. And let's go to the shadows area here. So we go to EEVEE, render, we go check the shadows area. You can activate subsurface scattering for the actual facial and textures of the skin. You can also activate screen space reflections if you want. Ambient occlusion should be activated. That makes a big difference sometimes. And leave bloom out, because bloom is going to be crazy unless you want to play with it. And what else? Volumetric. Some people like to use that. As you can see, it's not doing anything good, so I left that out. Now here goes shadows. Shadows, you can choose to click this little check mark, and that's going to add the shadows in. Soft shadows, I should say. And then you can play with this option here to adjust your shadows. It's really not that bad on this end. It's much worse on the cycles version. So what we're going to do here, we're going to drop the lamp down. So we're going to go to bring this option back, hit the overlays, figure out where the lamp is at, which is up here, and go into the lamp. It's a sunlight still, so we're going to go change it to point light. And now we're going to move that lamp in, which is much closer. Not as close as the cycles lamp, because look how powerful it is. So now we're just going to move it around like this to get a decent shadow. And that's pretty good right there. That's not bad to be able to render. Not too bad. Now, like I said, you're gonna have some issues down here. So if you're having issues like that, what I recommend you to do is to play around with your, maybe using, what do they call it? Actually, let me just fix the texture real quick for her outfit, her skin. So let's go check the edit mode. Wow, this time edit mode did not fail, which is good. And actually, let's go back to object mode. We're gonna hit the outfit of the suit and we're gonna hide it. And so there we go. So the texture here on her neck is attached to the suit. So let's do alternate H. Whoa. When we brought it back in, the light just went crazy. Oh, because the cycles light. My bad. Alright, so I turn off the cycles lamp. Let's hide the bones again. Hit the H. And then we're gonna go into the texture editing. I'm gonna go edit the textures for her actual, or the mesh for her suit. We're gonna activate backface, or take off backface culling so we can see it. And we're gonna go to edit mode, and in the edit mode, oh, okay, it's not attached. It's only attached to her face. Alright, so let's go back to object mode, go to her face, go to edit mode, and we want to get rid of that, the neck stuff, all this stuff with the neck. So how do we do that? Let's get rid of by hiding that. We're gonna go into the neck and start pulling points. Now we click the head, go to edit mode, use the C key and highlight all of this part here. We might have to reconstruct the structure of the neck to get this to work better. because this texture is part of her actual neck. So it's going to cause some issues for us. You'll see what I mean. So we're going to highlight all of these, the ones that have the suit. Pretty much all these have the suit in it. Anything that remotely has the suit in it, you want to highlight. And then we're going to drag this out. So we're going to go hit the T key, get the move tool, and then just drag it, elongate it if we have to. So let's use the Z key because one of the points is not being pulled. Use the Z key again. That point right there is not being pulled. So now we'll look all the way around, make sure all the points are being pulled. We're going to scale this out. Go scale, like so, and then scale out this way. Now let's see, let's go back to edit mode. Actually no, let's use the alternate H to bring everything back in. Well, we have to go to object mode, alternate H, and now it works better. Take off the EEVEE lamp, cycles lamp I should say. Click on the bones, hide the bones. And now, bam, it's looking better. Now we're gonna deactivate the backface culling. And as you can see, she's looking much better. Let's try to change the background light. I think dark looks a little bit better. Deactivate the overlays. And yeah, that's really nice, but the light is just a little bit too bright still. So activate the overlays, click on her lamp, and we're going to decrease the power on that. The energy, drop that down to about 10. Now go back to her, and bam. Now you're seeing a little bit more better quality on the EEVEE render. So there you go. So if you want to, like I said, you want to play around with some sort of a Photoshop or something like that, you can get the backface culling to go in and then fix the hair. See how the hair looks better with the backface culling on? When you take it off, it looks crappy. So you can do photoshopping and correct the outfit as well. Now, depending on what type of outfit, it may not cause that kind of a problem with the backface culling. So depends on the outfit. And other than that, I'm done. But let me show y'all folks that part in terms of the outfit option that you choose. So let's just drop the outfit entirely. So how we do that, we chose the suit. Just click on the suit, and now she has this other type of outfit under it, which brings it back in. So now what we'll do, I'm just trying to show y'all folks, you know, that part. So I may add the bonus in there for folks who want to, you know, be able to do the Photoshop editing type of thing. I'll just use my other tool. I use what is known as PixArt, and I can do, you know, very similar stuff how I do on Photoshop. So that one is a free version, so I can do it for free as opposed to paying for the Adobe Creative Cloud. That's why I like to use that tool. So what I'm going to do here, I'm actually going to deactivate the backface culling, take a snapshot of this here. So we're going to use the print screen, go on to here, paste it in like this, and then we're just going to chop it up in terms of cropping. And then this one is going to just be for the suit. You can also do it here on Microsoft Paint. Let's go in and hit the activate the backface culling. Use the print screen. Get out of it. Then we're going to go and we're going to open up more space over here so we can paste it in. So we're going to paste, move it over, and then we're going to chop this up. So we're going to use the top portion of the head, actually this portion of the head, to the bottom of the nose. Well, we need it actually to I would say that point. We're going to drag that over and try to fit it in, which basically is right there, and drop it. And that wasn't the best fit, so we're going to back it up, try it again. You just have to keep playing with it until you get the right fit. So what was it? Right around here. Grab it. Silly rabbit tricks are for kids. Let's see. Right there, that's a perfect drop. And now all I gotta do is paste it again. And what I want is to correct. Actually, I needed the other one. So we'll go back. I'll show you what I mean. So we'll go back, deactivate the backface culling. I want to get this white portion right here of the neck. So we're going to hit the print screen button, go back to MS Paint, paste, drop that in there. See over here, you're missing it. So we'll just grab just that smidget of space there, copy it, paste it, and then bring it in to this part over here. I think that's it right there, and drop it. And that's about it. Now we got everything done. So simple. So we're gonna crop it, and now we got the best look we can possibly get out of that pose from EEVEE, the EEVEE render engine. Now we're gonna go and hit the plus, and bam, now we got an Instagram worthy EEVEE render with her and her big eyes, and really I think she's pretty good looking. And we're gonna call her Pretty 6 and just type in EEVEE render. Okay, had caps lock on, save, and that's that. That is a wrap, folks. I just wanted y'all folks to see that bonus at the end, till end of this video. This video was very long, but it does most definitely point out a way for you to get photorealism going on for your characters out here. If you don't know node connections, and you don't, say you already know how to create your model and create, you know, everything of your scene to set up for your differing Blender projects, then if you don't know shading, I highly recommend for you to go research and learn how to use the shader nodes and stuff like that, and maybe you can make a really great shader for your textures, for your skin textures, and you'll be able to pull off really high quality stuff too. And photorealism, because look at the EEVEE render engine at work. Look at this. Look at the eyes. It even got the reflections going. Pretty powerful. So everything is possible. Anything's possible. You never know what you can pull off. I'm switching back to cycles just to show you the tail end. Turn on the cycles lamp, turn off the EEVEE lamp, and you can see the difference. See that? And obviously it's going to take time to get these little speckles out, and you won't have that back face culling issue with cycles. So it's a major difference, but you win some, you lose some, because look over here, you see the shadow issue, having some issues with the shadows. To fix that, you can just change your light position. So let's activate the overlay, activate the light, the lamp, and then reposition the lamp so that you get a better shadow look. So there we go. That changes a lot what's going on. And so on and so forth. So that's a little bit too close, so let me just back her light up a little bit. I'm just using the select option to move it instead of the move tool. And there you go. Now you got that side adjustment. It's looking pretty powerful, pretty potent. Bam. Now, you can imagine your character being animated and stuff like that. That will work out really well. If you want to fix like texture issues for the mesh, go into edit mode after selecting it, and then you can go in and get close up to the mesh and start adjusting the mesh. Now it's acting really weird. So let's switch over to EEVEE and see if we can adjust some of the mesh. You can play with the points and start moving them to fix it. Yeah, so before I got a call, basically you can go in and you could fix these texture issues just pulling points and adjusting as you see fit. As you can see, some of the mesh doesn't look that great. You can get the mesh to look a little bit better. And when you pull points, that's basically how 3D works. Just making adjustments and stuff like that. Now it looks like some of these points are locked. I don't know why it would be locked. Oh, I'm in scale, my bad. So I'm in the scale option. Let's go to select, and I should be able to pull points. There we go. So depending on what point you're on or where you're at, you can make something look more rounded, if that's the issue that you're having. So you just would have to, manipulate, keep pulling until you get really good contour to show up. If that's another issue that you're having, go to the move tool, and the move tool should have showed up. Well, it's all good. We'll just move it a little bit. So you don't have to get into the full modeling side of things. You don't necessarily have to remodel the character, but you can adjust how you see fit. You can also use proportional editing. So you go, let's see here, enable proportional editing, and then you can select the whole area to move, and then you can just start moving it like that. So that's something that I learned, and I learned that part when I was trying to learn how to do shape keys. You can learn about shape keys and stuff like that. Now let's see. So I could fix the air and move it inward. It will move all of the actual textures around it, or the vertices around it, with proportional editing. So there we go. Let's get the, I don't know why it's looking that way. Wasn't that bright? Are we in cycles or are we in EEVEE? We're in EEVEE, that's why. So let me switch over back to cycles, and then there we go. So the air does look a little bit better now. I just did an adjustment. Not as great as it could be, but you can work it and adjust it and make it look even better. All of the different edges, I gotta work these out over here in the bottom edges. Maybe make this more round and this part a little bit more rounded. So hopefully that tip helps as well. Try to dig into learning that part in terms of the proportional editing and editing of the differing mesh areas that you can, and you'll be able to adjust your characters how you see fit, as well as texture issues. If you have any textures protruding through other parts, I showed that in another video in the past on how to do MakeHuman Community stuff, and I'll try to put out more videos about that so it can help more people to understand that part too. So you can get much better renders. Like, your rendering makes a difference when you have the right setups. You have everything set up. If this looks a little bit more smoother, you can make it work. You can also go into Photoshop and then just cut off the sharp edges and round it off if you wanted to do that. Those are the kind of things you could do. Like right now I can do that on MS Paint and just adjust it as a 2D photo. You may be able to pull it off. Like, see how the air looks over here? It's not really that great. I can go in and just manually, just round it off like so, and then I can zoom in and play with the pixels how I see fit. So with pixels is really powerful. They allow you to do different things. So now I can drop in some pixels that I want, manipulate, use the little eyedropper tool, and then go a little further with it. And now back out, and you'll see at 100% it looks better than what it did before. So that's the kind of stuff you can play around with, making adjustments if you don't want to do it in a 3D format. Other than that, I'm out. I'll see y'all folks next time. Feel free to hit the thumbs up. Feel free to subscribe to my channel if y'all folks want to get more tips and tricks and just basic stuff that I learned about from doing 3D to 2D photo editing, video editing, 3D on the 3D end. I'm going to be trying to eventually put out some motion capture tutorials / animation tutorials, because I'm starting to learn it now, and hopefully y'all folks can gear into those based on that series that I have running on Blender in the future. For now though, since I'm a student and I'm not really an instructor on any of this stuff, I'm just giving y'all folks tips and hints and things that I'm learning as I go along. Eventually I'm going to try to put out a full instructional type of video on how to do modeling on Blender, 3D modeling. I'm not really a 3D modeler yet, so I have to get into that as well, and a full-fledged series on animation for Blender. all of that stuff I will have to do once I get much more skills and knowledge base on it. But I do know the basics, like y'all folks can see. I know some of the stuff because I've been working with these auto generators to try to create these characters and getting them to work using tons of YouTube videos. A lot of people have helped me. I never went to a formal school for 3D. I have no formal training at all, zero actually. And I started just like y'all guys and gals who are coming randomly onto YouTube, who probably have none of the background for it, and y'all trying to figure out and puzzle things together yourself. So if y'all feel this video or any of my videos are going to impact other people socially, if you want to help me out, feel free to share them socially out on Facebook, YouTube, or not YouTube, but Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Well, on Instagram you can't really share videos, so wherever you can share it, feel free to share them, and that will help me in the end to help y'all folks a lot more, because eventually revenue can come back from those larger scale shares to other people's. The more and more people that subscribe to my channel, I can earn some revenue back that could support the effort of me learning to put this stuff into more action. And then that's one of the things that I'm trying to get going in terms of my 3D studio production efforts, trying to get an actual a 3D studio pipeline created where I have an actual animation studio set up and I have a physical studio production level and location. So if I can get that running, that would be amazing. But it will take some time for all that to happen, and a cumulative effort as a community to achieve as a goal, because working a regular 9-to-5 job, you can only get but so much money to pay your bills week to week, month to month, and it really won't grant you that much leverage in order to make a purchase of a production studio. So with that being said, I just wanted to put that at the tail end as a wishing well type of thing, wishing it into the universe. Hopefully more and more people can support the effort so that could happen in the future. And other than that, I'm out. I'll see y'all folks next time. Peace. Mike Pugh, signing off.